Welcome to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and what's this dude's name?
The rumor has it my name is Randy.
Yes.
And let's confirm the rumors.
That
Randy
is
in the house today, fired up, ready to go. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Buongiorno, everybody.
Buongiorno.
We are back from Italy and more excited than ever before. We are rested, relaxed, refreshed, rejuvenated.
A little bit. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I feel really refreshed, but I slept horrible last night. That whole jet lag day transition threw me off a little. But it's interesting. I was telling you earlier, I know that when we were in Italy there for almost 3 weeks, it wasn't like we were counting every point or looking at everything that went into our body. The wine was flowing, which was really nice as well. But it's cool because, you know, my body does feel great. I think my weight was like within 0.2 pounds of where it was 3 weeks ago. Yet I completely changed up my routine, my sleep patterns, when I eat, how I eat. I had more things I wouldn't normally eat, but it's cool to know that you're metabolically flexible enough to go into a new environment and not freak out, not worry about a weight scale, not worry about missing anything, just trusting that your body is ready to rock when you put the work in. And it makes the trips way more fun because I love enjoying the culture and the food and the people and all the things that has to offer. So pretty exciting for me to, I've never been away that long and been off my routine for that long. And it was pretty cool to come back and feel this good and to see, man, my body had just responded great. I think you had a similar experience as well.
Well, similar, yes. It was great just to be able to get back. It was great to get home. It was one of those trips for me. I don't know how you felt about it, but where we were able to get away. We were able to hang out with all the people that we absolutely love, being you guys that are here right now with us and be able to be with them. It was one of those times where I was ready to go ahead and get back because I was ready to go ahead and start helping people to experience what it is that we experienced there with what it is that you're saying, because we have some new things that are going to be coming out. We also, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, we're going to review what we talked to the participants there at this event that we had there in Ischia, Italy, so that you guys can catch a glimpse of what it is that we talked about. We'll review that. We'll talk about a new program that we've just launched, that we launched while we were there in Ischia, Italy as well. And we're basically just gonna revisit and take a trip back to Italy with you. And then also on the last podcast, one of the things that we talked about, a lot of you had been asking us questions about what are the current biohacking trends that are out there for optimal health and well-being. We're going to continue that on the next podcast episode, where we're going to be interviewing a biohacking expert who is running something called the Biohacking Congress and Ultimate Wellness. And she's going to have us speaking at her retreat that's coming up here in a few weeks in Miami. But she's going to be giving us insights on the next podcast. So we're like, why are we going to give you guys this information? Why don't we have an expert actually do it? So we're bringing her on the podcast to do that. So just a little bit, a snippet of what's to come. For today, we're going to take you guys back to Italy with us, and let's get this show on
Sandy, tons of pizza, wine was flowing, weight set held perfectly. That's a true story, and if you know, no doubt about it. That's
absolutely. And Margie, we're going to put the URL in the show notes. I'll drop it in there as well for that event in Miami, so that you guys, because as being a member of our program, you guys will get $250 off of that program that's going to be there in Miami, which is going to be awesome. So some of the things that we talked about in Italy, and number one is not even something that we talked about, but it's more of a reflection and observation, is that the world is really small. And what I mean by that is the message that we have and that we give to people when it comes to living the happy, healthy life really isn't something that's isolated simply to this group or isolated to a place. It really is a universal message. And the universal message, and we talked about that a little this morning, is that there are beautiful people all around the world, and we are all divinely connected. And that was the first thing that we talked about, is the points that we gave to our participants there, is that, you know what, God is the source of everything. You know, God connects all of us. We are all universally connected together. And then there was something that happened that was really magical when we got everybody together in one room. And if you were there, you know what we're talking about, that there was just this, instead of 1 + 1 = 2 when it comes to health, it was like 1 + 1 = infinity with everybody that was there. It was just simply magical. And
I
it
call
was
that Jesus math.
it is the
Right?
Jesus
And
math.
then
Absolutely.
the numbers don't make sense, right? How did it get here? Yet the numbers say this. So yeah, it was that whole compound interest, or like you said, 1 + 1 is now equaling not even 3, it's equaling like 100, 10,000, like you can't even quantify it. I like playing Jesus math.
I do too.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is when you're allowing, God to be guiding you. In fact, this is one of the few times that we spoke, and we shared this with everybody that was there. One of the few times that we spoke that we didn't actually have like a list of like all the talking points that we're going to be speaking about, right? It was one of those things where we got there and allowed God to really lead us in what it is that we're going to be sharing, because and this is one of the things that we always teach you guys is that every single person on the face of the planet is unique and wonderfully made. So what that means is that everybody has very unique needs. And this group right here had very unique needs. We'll never have another group in one place exactly the same as the group that we had. What that also means is the next time that we do a retreat, which is going to for sure be in June, next time we do that, that's going to be a different group. They're going to have different needs. And the cool thing is that the message that we were giving is our principles. They don't change. They work for everyone. And everybody that I've talked to so far had just a great experience, a magical experience. If you were there and you had a great experience, let us know in the chat a little bit about what your experience was. Was it great? Was it, what was the magic that happened for you? Just in maybe a couple of words, tell us what that magic was for you. And then we'll continue on with talking about some of those points that we shared.
And if you were not there, you were missed. And raise your hand if you had a little FOMO. Go ahead. It's okay. We did our best to create as much FOMO as we possibly could, Sherry. So yeah, if you weren't there, we felt like you were there in spirit. It honestly, I felt, and I talked to you about this. We had this conversation. That opening welcoming dinner that night, there was a room probably of what, 40 to 50 of us. But yet when we walked in there, the room felt like it was thousands and thousands of people packed into a stadium. And it really felt that way. So we really felt like each of you were there with us, not only the ones who are in our group, those of you who listen to our podcast, who follow us, who are a big part of what we do, all the supporters of who we are and what we do. It just felt massive. And that's just something you can't quantify. So I love that, because one of the things I noticed really that impacted me being over there was how important community is. And we're going to talk about that, obviously. What was that?
Yes, that's exactly what Leah said.
Oh, yeah.
Who was with us. She said, being with happy, healthy, like-minded people, which is exactly what you said, is community. And that was one of the points that we talked about. There's something that happens when you get around a group of like-minded people. And so that's what we talk about with the happy, healthy life. Is not a life that everyone is living, right? Everybody else is living the, we talk about above, down, and inside out, right? They're living from the bottom up, outside in, which is telling you that there's something wrong with you, that the disease, right, is the problem, versus getting to the cause of the problem.
The disease is right between our ears, right? That's the block. That's the disconnection by not knowing the truth. And it's okay if people in your life don't understand why you've chosen to go down a different path and live a life that's not status quo. So remember that it's 100% okay, because not everybody's going to go with you. Not everybody's going to go with us, but the ones who do and the ones who want to, that is so special and so sweet, because I think we were all, and that was the cool thing too. There was all of us from all these different backgrounds and places from all over. We all weren't exactly the same, yet the things that mattered most were the common bond between each of us. And it felt so powerful to experience that. And like you were saying earlier, Dr. Rob, there's certain things that we teach and do that are just immutable laws. They're not going to change. Don't you hate when the science changes? Was it really ever the science to begin with? Here's what doesn't change, is that God created all of us to be healthy, and there's laws that govern that. Who's ever heard of the law of gravity? Anybody familiar with that law? Who's ever broken the law of gravity? So picture this. There is a law called gravity. If you break it, there are consequences and repercussions. If you jump off a building and you say, I don't believe in gravity, gravity doesn't care, because gravity does not have emotion to what you believe or what you don't believe. It is a law. So just like gravity, just like aerodynamics, just like physics, there are laws that govern our health, which is why, as we were talking about at the conference or at the event, what we're going to talk about today in a recap, there are certain things that you need to have in place to make sure that you're not breaking those basic laws of health. Because you break enough laws, you either end up in prison or you end up on the run, and that's a high stress life. So I think what we're going to do today as we recap this is go back over those with you. What are those basic things? Because I know we asked this question in the room. If I asked you right now, who in here wants to live to be 100 years old? And those listening out there, wherever you are who listen to this podcast, how many of you would truly raise your hand and say, absolutely, I want to live to be 100 years old? I don't know. When we saw the room, it wasn't everybody's hand, which was interesting. And we've asked this question in big, big rooms. And the only reason you didn't raise your hand, or you're not raising your hand right now, is you don't think that being 100 years old, you can have a high quality, happy, healthy life. Because if you could be free of pain, sickness, disease, depression, on no medication, full of energy, living abundantly and vibrant, every single hand would go up. And so the key to this is it's all about adaptation. Longevity is about adaptation. How are you adapting to your environment, chemically, physically, and emotionally? And so we want to help create each of us to create the most amount of adaptability to be the least flammable, so we can navigate all these sparks that come at us every single day, so we can get to whatever the age that is. Now, listen, I may be hit by a bus today, Dr. Rob. I pray that does not happen.
I almost got hit by a bus like 3 weeks ago, like for real, for real.
You for real did?
Yeah, I literally did.
Dove out of the street.
Yeah, true story. I'm walking across the street. I have the right of way. Yeah. And you always say that, you know what, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I'm walking down the street and this bus doesn't see I'm coming. They didn't see that they had a red light. They keep on going. In fact, it was like they were speeding up towards me. I dive across the street. My elbows are all bloody. My knee is bloody. So the reality is, yes, you could be hit by a bus. Thank God I was not. I don't even know how it happened because he was going fast. But anyway,
that was the literal bus. I was talking about the proverbial figurative bus.
You could get hit by a bus
yes,
tomorrow.
The metaphor still lands. Listen, it could happen. But you know what? If God takes me off this planet before I intended to get off this planet, I can live with that. But I'm not going to lifestyle myself to death, put my health in the hands of a system that's not prepared to take care of us. And you know which system I'm talking about, because they're not set up to create any type of level of adaptability, health, and education. They want us all sick, overweight, depressed, medicated, and they don't want you reaching your potential. So whatever they want, I want the opposite, but I can live with that. But hey, man, if you're going to live to be 100, when should you start taking care of yourself? At 99 or at 98, 97, right freaking now. And that was the PG version. And you're welcome. Yeah, I know my nephews might be listening.
You know what? And traveling is really an experience, an experience and an experiment in just the way humans are doing health. I know we were waiting for our plane, our connecting flight in Frankfurt, Germany. As we were standing there, there was a gentleman like 5 feet in front of us that had literally just collapsed. I don't know what in the world had happened, but he collapsed. They had to get him up. He's sitting in a chair. This dude almost like dies right in front of us. And you could tell this was not a happy, healthy human being. And what had happened was a result of years and years and years of neglecting his health. So like you said, the first best time, right, is 20 years ago, right, to plant a tree or be healthy, right? Yeah. And then the next best time is right now. So start doing those things now, which we'll talk about today. And it's funny, I'm getting messages right now, even on my phone from our team that's like, okay, let's talk about the hard dates for the next retreat, because I want to make sure that I make it. They're already planning their schedule to make sure that they're with the retreat. And Christina just goes, FOMO is real. So we'll talk to you about that, Christina, here in just a few minutes when we do our team meeting. However, let's get on to the next item. So we talked about community, the importance of community, right? importance of being around people that are like-minded and share the same philosophy that you do. And then also we talked about the importance of God and healing. The next thing that we did talk about with the participants that were there, we talked about the one organ system in the body that controls everything, right? What's the one thing in your body that controls every single cell, tissue, organ, and function inside your body? And that organ system in the body is the brain.
Yeah, it's the ultimate adaptability organ system. It's the one system in the human body that you live your life through. And it's the only organ in your body fully encased in bone. Think about that. Your brain is encased by the skull, the spinal cord connecting your brain to all the organ systems in your body, protected by your spinal column. And so it's one of those things, it's almost like you don't think much about that. Of course, we're coming from a chiropractic background, but although we're no longer in practice, it's still a big part of who we are and what we do, getting our adjustments every single week. I know some of you even had questions about that, but neurological integrity is at the heart of all function. If you want to age very quickly, let your spine begin to decay, degenerate, and begin to fuse and start losing mobility. When you lose mobility, your brain and your spinal cord begin to shrink, you lose function, and everything you don't want happening can go bad. So if we can help you guys in that regard, let us know. If we can refer, send you to somebody. We had several of you ask, but neurological integrity is so important, especially since it's not like other systems in the body. It doesn't replace itself every 60, 80, 90 days, every 400 days. For some neurological tissue, it could take up to 7 years, if that's even the type of tissue that can repair. So whatever you have, you want to maximize its ability to have full integrity, clear signals from the brain to your body, back up to your brain again. Can't be overstated.
It cannot be overstated. And so right here, Sherry said, if we had a safe world aside from the world order today, and that's why we do the podcast. She said she'd love to live to be 100. I mean, there's craziness going on, but the reality is that if we're going to be here, let's make sure that we make the best of it while we are here. And that was one of the things that we also got the ability to do, going back to community and how freaking amazing our community is. We raised thousands and thousands of dollars for ICANN, Del Bigtree's organization, which was unfreaking believable. We were
close to $50,000.
Close to $50,000 that were raised for ICANN, the Informed Consent Action Network. So speaking of getting us out of this freaking New World Order, that's what that organization stands for. And so we're always going to stand behind organizations like that to be able to help people with living a happy, healthier life. So thank you for everybody who contributed to that. If you also want to donate to them, you can go to ican.com to be able to get information about that. I'm not sure if it's .com or not. I'll put it here in the chat, and I'll also put it in the show notes as well. But we want to help those guys for sure, because we can't do this alone.
Yeah, and if you don't know what that is, the Informed Consent Action Network, guys, informed consent is at the heart of any and all things that would be medically based. You can't even, how can you have any type of system if you don't have informed consent, knowing what you're getting into, what you're signing up for? And so medical freedom, we could all agree, wherever anybody listening right now would stand, I think we would all agree, we all should deserve to have rights and autonomy over our own body and the bodies and health of our children. I was talking to some of you, and some of you listening may not even know this. If you have children in America, the government owns your children. 100% they own your children. I'll give you a prime example. If your child, God forbid, was diagnosed with cancer and the doctor recommended chemotherapy for your child, and you did not want to submit your child to that barbaric treatment, they can take your child from you and they can force chemotherapy onto your 4-year-old daughter, and there's nothing that you can do about it. This is what we're up against. This is not freedom. They own your children. And so the only way we start to stop this insanity is, number one, we can't stick our head in the sand. We can't think it's not us. It is right on your front door. It's on my front door. It's on all of our front doors. And right now is the time we all have to band together and say, you know what? We're not going to let you do that anymore, because it's not okay. You don't own our children. These are God's children, and we're going to fight for these kids. We're going to fight for ourselves, and we're no longer going to sit back and just pray. We should be praying, but sometimes prayers don't get past the ceiling, because God's looking for people who want to do something about it, who's going to put some boots on the ground and take action. So I will get off my soapbox, but I'm very passionate about this. So the ICANN movement is very important. We support it. We hope you guys do.
Absolutely, especially having kids. I was taking them to school this morning. I was thinking about that. They just live a completely different life. And it was because they actually watched myself, just really be able to lead them in that. We need more people that are leading their children in making better choices for themselves, and ICAN helps us to do that. And I put the website there. It's icandecide.org is what it is. ICAN decide, DECID.org. I'll also put it in the show notes as well. So the next thing that we talked about in Ischia, we talked about the vital role that quality sleep plays in longevity. The simple reason being is that whenever your body is sleeping and your organ systems are able to slow down, that's when your body can be able to heal and repair, which is essential to longevity, right? Because we always want our body to be healing and repairing really quickly, right? And we want the aging to be slowing down, or the degeneration of the cells or the dying of the cells to slow down. So sleep allows us to be able to do that. One of the things that we talked about there is one of the valuable points or units that we talked about, unit being the brain tap unit. Okay, in order to be able to help people. If you don't know what brain tap is, go check that out. But brain tap is an important tool that I know I use on a daily basis. I used it today in order to be able to make sure that I woke up, got ready for my day, have plenty of energy right now. It's one of the things that we did there in Ischia as well, as we took folks through a meditative brain tap session. And this was after people had been traveling and lost all of the time from their travels. And after we did this session with them on the beach, we were grounding. You took everybody through grounding, which was beautiful.
Sun gazing.
Huge
for sleep, man. Huge. And those are free things you can do, by the way, right?
Totally.
And even listening to without the brain tap unit, you can still get access. In fact, I think we were going to make sure everybody got that sent to them who were at the group. We can provide it to anybody. But yeah, so those are free things you can do, because prepping yourself for a good night's sleep is something that a lot of us don't really consider, or don't know there's things that you can do, yet it may be one of the most important things, not only to help heal your metabolism, but to heal your body and to make sure that you're living your best life. So very simple things you can do: grounding, sun gazing, getting those circadian rhythms set. Every single hormone in your body has its own separate circadian rhythm, including melatonin. So even at night, are you around bright light before you go to bed? I bet a lot of you are. You're watching TV, you're on your phone, you're in front of your computer. Maybe all the lights are on in your house. So you might want to be sensitive to that, because just getting about 1 minute of artificial light in the evenings can stop melatonin production immediately. So candles don't do that. Maybe our ancestors were onto something before the incandescent and fluorescent bulbs came into play. But start thinking and being more intentional about how you prepare yourself to even go into that state. That way, when you are at sleep, however long that is, you're getting the most and max benefit. So you're not waking up tired, because a lot of times you're waking up tired, even though you may have gotten 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep because you drank too much coffee at 8 o'clock at night. You were under bright lights. You didn't sun gaze. You're on your computer, and the stress of the day didn't allow you to get to that state, which is a guaranteed plan to break a certain law of health called adaptation, where your body's breaking down faster than it's repairing.
You know what I thought was really cool? What I thought was super cool is that in the airplane on the way back, I'd never seen this before, but in the plane, yeah, as it was time for people where we were going, as far as Dallas-Fort Worth goes, to go to bed, the lights started dimming, even though we were following the sun. Because I know I got up, I went to the restroom, and they had the window was open in the restroom, and it was bright outside, but they would dim the lights. And then when it was time for like waking up, they would start slowly rising back up. They didn't just flip all the lights back onto the plane. They took it through us gradually, which I thought was really beautiful, super helpful, because people are starting to understand this, that, yeah, you have to be intentional. They were intentional. So I really appreciated that about.
Yeah, I also appreciated this, kind of off topic, from Lufthansa. They actually had a window in the bathroom of an airplane. Thought it was kind of cool looking outside while you're doing your thing. Little things really matter, really impacted me. So shout out to Lufthansa, Frankfurt, Germany. You guys kick butt, great flight. But on a serious
I rolled it down. I was like a little embarrassed. I didn't want people in the plane next to us to actually see what was happening inside there. So I was a little embarrassed personally. I'm like, people could be looking at me right now.
I had the whole window up. I was so happy.
So I just like waved outside.
Yeah,
so
sure. I was waving at the birds.
Exactly. I don't think there was any birds that high up, but still, I was a little embarrassed about it. All right. Next one is the significance of good, healthy water is the next thing that we talked about there. And we introduced people to a unit called an Echo water unit, which is hydrogen water. So, that can't be overstated even enough, because water is one of the macronutrients that your body needs in order to be able to survive. Every single one of the cells in your body needs hydrogen. It needs oxygen inside there in order to get energy. That's what hydrogen is. It's energy. We got to make sure as much energy as possible is penetrating the cell, because like we talked to you guys about metabolic health, metabolic flexibility, without hydrogen or energy inside the cell, energy can't come out. Your body cannot be able to burn the calories that you need, or that you should be doing throughout the day. You've got to have that good quality water. And so that's super huge. Don't be drinking the tap water, because the tap water is filled with drugs, toxins,
hormones,
all kinds of crazy things
fluoride,
inside there. That's the worst thing that you could ever do.
Yeah. And remember, you can go probably 40, 50, 80, 100 days. Some of you even more, probably not this group, since you guys are very metabolically flexible. But at one point, you probably could go, 80, 100 days with no food and not die. I think the longest fast ever was like a year and 4 months with no food. If you can even think about that, and did not die. But you're not going to go very long without proper hydration and water. So keep that in mind. And it's not about what you drink, just why it's not always about what you eat. It's what's bioavailable, or what are you absorbing. So if you're drinking water and you're not absorbing it, that's another sign that you're insulin resistant, that you are inflamed, that you've got too much years of stored seed oil. So this water can help really bypass that, cross the cell membranes, hydrate the tissue, and provide tons of antioxidant support.
Absolutely.
Is there a better antioxidant than flooding your body full of real hydrogen? There just isn't one, and it can come naturally. So plus, for those of you guys who are doing our longevity program starting November 1st, we'll be able to actually take your own water unit and customize it based off the testing that we had done with you in Italy, which is pretty cool. Not to create more FOMO for those of you who are not there, but that's a real thing. How cool is it having your own customized water?
Yeah. And if you guys want to know more about the Happy Healthy for Life program, put yes in the chat, because we are more likely than not, before this gets started, we've got a few spots available, and we want to make it available to everyone who's in our group specifically. If you want to know more about the Happy Healthy for Life longevity program, put yes in the chat. We'll make that available. We've got yeses in there.
I think we'll do probably 2 to 5 more people outside of the group from Italy is where we're at. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be very small and intimate.
Yeah, but you needed to had gone through the Happy Healthy program first to be able to qualify for that. So just to wrap up with the podcast today, we talked about recapping what we talked about there in Italy. Number one, the importance of God in all healing. Brain health is essential. The vital role of quality sleep. Significance of good, healthy water. And last but not least, we talked about the significance of accountability through community, but last but not least is also having a warrior physical body. I know, even being gone on this trip, one of the things that we did a lot of was really working our physical body. We walked literally everywhere that we went. There were very few exceptions to that. However, we walked everywhere, steps like crazy, stairs like crazy. I know, even getting back this morning, something important for me is, after I went through my meditation this morning, was to get out, get in nature, get my body moving, working out, getting my physical body ready. Because like Del said, if you were there this past weekend, is we have to make sure that we are warrior ready for what's coming when it comes to literally this war on health.
Yeah, that's another immutable law of health. If you're not moving, you are dying. No way around it. Get your body moving, get outside, get some sun on your face. You don't have to get your heart rate up too high. Really, to be honest with you, you'd probably want to take 180 minus your age. That's your max heart rate. A great walk outside in gratitude is a beautiful way to start the day. So we'd encourage you guys to do those things. And if you can imagine a life where you're moving, you've got community, you've got connection, you've got sunlight, you've got great sound and music that you love, you've got laughter. I mean, even laughing in these last few minutes with all of you, you just feel so much better, right? Remember, laughter is the best medicine. I think the Bible's really clear on that. It's not Wellbutrin. That's not the best drug. So we already know laughter is essential. You think about eating real foods, doing all these basic things. What you can really start to do is create a body that is adaptable to the environment that we're in, because stress is there. There's no way around it, but how well do you adapt to your environment chemically, physically, and emotionally? That is the name of the game, and there's no way around it. That's real longevity. And I believe in this community, we're helping establish those parameters and then creating solutions around each of those building blocks to make sure we're working together to make those a reality. So I think we're out of time, my man, but it's been fun. We'll come back here again soon. Remember, this releases every Friday. If you've not gone to the podcast, The Happy Healthy Life, like, subscribe, rate, review, tell people. Remember, the algorithms are set up to keep this content from getting out. Trust me, this is how it works. The only way it does is you share this with other people and tell people the story and connect them to this podcast. It's not the only one, but I do like this podcast. And I think it's a great place to get real and tell the truth.
Yeah. For any questions, comments, go to the H2 Life on Instagram. For any questions that you have, if you want us to talk about anything, any questions, comments, go there. Again, the next episode, we'll be talking about what's happening in the biohacking world with Julia, that's going to come on with us, answer questions about that. I'll just put in the show notes if you want to come hang out with us in Miami here in a couple of weeks. I'll put the information there. You guys being members of watching the podcast will get $250 off of that if you want to come hang out with us in Miami.
Dude, let's do it. Love Miami. Love the people. Let's do it. Love you guys.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.